Hey guys, alright, today we are watching. I don't know why my brain decided to, not work there. I was gonna say a different word, but alright. Let's try this again. We are. Hey guys, alright. We're watching OverSimplified's War of the Bucket. Now, I have absolutely no clue what the hell this means. It is medieval times, though. So, yeah. I know some things about the medieval times, right? Anyways, the War of the Bucket, Bologna. I can't speak Italian. Bologna, Italy. That's how we're gonna go with. So, yeah. Let's just start watching.
Alright, folks, gather round. I've got some good news and some bad news.
Oh.
Did you say good news and glad news? No, I said good news and bad news. Very bad news. Word on the street is there's going to be a horrible plague coming in from Central Asia in the next couple decades that'll wipe out half of Europe. What's the good news? Do you have a cure? Please say you have a cure. No. Even better. The good news is we've got a new bucket for this city well.
Woo! New bucket. Fuck yeah. Let's go. Let's fucking go.
To understand the War of the Bucket, we first need to talk about this guy. He's the man with the plan, the host with the most. He's holy, lowly, he eats ravioli, with the white cassock, matching pellegrina, and the most tasteful of fringed fascias. Come on, y'all know who I'm talking about. It's the Pope, the head of the largest religious organization in the world. But what if I told you he wasn't always the big bad boy powerhouse he's often thought as today? That's right. Throughout history, the papacy often found itself forced to wrestle against adversity and opposition to retain its authority. The earliest popes, for example, suffered under the brutal persecution of the Roman Empire.
That part,
Many
this part's
ended
true.
up martyred, such as Pope Clement I, who was ostensibly thrown into the sea with an anchor around his neck. On the bright side, however, he's now the patron saint of fishermen. After persecution finally ended, the Pope still found himself being heavily controlled by secular kings and nobility. For over 2 centuries, the Byzantine emperor basically decided who could become Pope. Then came a real low point, during what has been called the Dark Age, a period where noblewomen controlled the Pope through, how should I put this, feminine charm. It was around here that one infamous Pope, John XII, took office.
Hold up, that dude. We know that guy. We watched Salmonella's Scandalous Popes. I recognize that face.
This bad boy would hold, how should I put this, naughty no-clothes parties in the Lateran Palace. And apparently, this would even happen. Come on, Zeus. Give me a 6. Did I say Zeus? I meant Thor. Ra, the Egyptian sun god? Dang it, who is it we worship? Perhaps you should read this, Your Holiness. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth? Wow, this is wild. Pope John XII eventually died exactly how he lived, caught in the act by an irate husband who picked the Pope up and chucked him out the window. The point I'm trying to make here is that often the Pope was a very weak and corruptible figure and was...
Yes and no. So I would say for the early popes, yes, but the popes that were in control post 1000 Common Era to the Renaissance, I'd say those popes had some significant power. Heck, actually, honestly, I'd argue the popes from Charlemagne's time through the Renaissance are the ones that helped. The popes from Charlemagne's time to all the way through the Renaissance held significant power. They held vast amounts of land themselves under direct control of the papacy inside of Italy. So they were extremely powerful, and they held great influence over what would happen really inside of Europe. Like they could influence a lot through just the means of like excommunication and bishops and whatnot. Those had extreme influence. Now, obviously, of course, make sure my chair is centered again. Of course, as through all things, everything has exceptions. There were weak and corruptible popes. Most of the popes were certainly corruptible throughout this time period. Weak is that depends on how you want to view a weak pope. People have their different perceptions on what weakness is. If say it's a Medici pope, what the Medici pope did, maybe in terms of the papacy, in terms of Catholicism, might be weak, but what he may have done for the Medici family and continuing their influence inside of Europe, despite the failure of the bank in that time period in the 1500s, that is certainly not weak. I think I'm getting this across fairly well. So I'm kind of actually disagreeing here with Oversimplified, and not really, I don't like the definition of calling the popes weak, and not really, it's also kind of sounding like he's not really saying they're exceptionally influential and that they're instead influenced by the external forces that are the Catholic kingdoms of Europe. While that certainly did happen, I think it was more common to see it the other way around, where Catholic kingdoms wanted to maintain good relations with the Pope, because you anger the Pope, you can get excommunicated, and suddenly you're the bad guy of Europe, in a sense.
Regularly used
TLDR.
and controlled by secular leaders as a tool to increase their own power and influence. And there was certainly an element of that in the year 800, when the Pope and the Kingdom of the Franks were good BFFs, and King of the Franks, Charlemagne, was like, hey man,
This
being
is what
King
I was
of the
saying.
Franks is nice and all, but I want more legitimacy, and also to become the continuation of the Roman Empire. So what say in return for my protection, you crown me Emperor so everyone will respect me more? Sure thing, pal. We'll hold the ceremony tomorrow. Charlemagne, King of the Franks, I hereby crown you Emperor of the West. Oh my goodness. I was not expecting this at all. What a surprise. I simply cannot accept. Oh, okay then. I guess I'll just put this back over here. Give me that crown. Charlemagne's crowning as emperor was certainly an historic moment, but it also created a bit of an interesting problem. It set the precedent that from here on out, only the Pope could crown an emperor, but the Pope was also very much under the influence and control of Charlemagne. So who really held the power here? The Pope or the Emperor? I'm sure that this conflict won't cause anyone to die.
Yes, that is a good point. Yes, I will accept that.
Bishop of Freising,
Instead of saying that the popes were influenced by outside forces.
City.
It was certainly circular. Pope had influence over the kings, king had influence over the Pope, blah, blah, blah.
Been an honor. The
War.
pleasure is all mine, and what a wonderful tour it's been. I've seen the city walls, I've seen the towers, nothing could top that. Oh,
about a
couldn't
bucket.
it? Because we've saved the best for last. Ta-da!
God damn, that's a beautiful bucket.
Yes, that's very interesting. Isn't it the greatest thing you've ever seen?
So beautiful.
I mean, it is just a bucket. Get him out of here! Over time, Charlemagne's position as emperor and the kingdom of the Franks gradually evolved into the Holy Roman Empire. And by now, the Pope and the Emperor weren't such good friends anymore, since neither could agree on who was the boss of who. To make matters worse, the Emperor had taken to investing his own bishops and abbots. What does that mean? Well, allow me to explain. The problem for the Holy Roman Emperor was his empire wasn't really an empire, so much as a nightmarish federation made up of hundreds of counties, duchies, bishoprics, and more. The princes in charge of these local regions often didn't give the emperor their loyalty. The German nobility spent a lot of their time rebelling against the emperor, and the emperor spent a lot of his time trying to put down those rebellions. Can we get rid of them? Who? All the nobility. Get rid of them and pick new ones who are loyal to me. You can't just remove noble families from their territory. Please? Aw, okay, how about this? Some of those territories are ruled by bishops and abbots, and as Holy Roman Emperor, considered by many to be the deputy of Jesus Christ himself, perhaps you can choose who gets to become bishop and abbot. Yay! Now it's time to turn out the lights and go to sleep. Okay, I love you. Okay, good night. Say it back. And so it was. The emperor invested his own family and loyal followers into powerful church positions, and thereby was able to increase his own power and authority.
Kind of like almost every ruler inside of Europe at this time period would do the same thing. going back to the Medici because I think they are the most obvious, aside from maybe the Habsburgs, and there's a French family that I think did the same thing, but I can't remember their name. The Capet? Was it the Capets? I don't think it was the Capets. I don't think it was the Capets. I can't remember. But anyways, yeah, lots of families would put, relatives inside the papacy for further influence.
Not only that, but the emperor and other nobility were also engaging in something called simony. That's when someone would come along and say, hey, I want to become a bishop and get all the personal riches that come with the position. Perhaps we could come to some kind of arrangement. That's right. Church positions were actually being sold to the highest bidder. And let me tell you, they probably didn't come cheap. It's going to cost you a lot more than this. I don't think so. I've got a promo code. And speaking of promo codes, do you like free money? I know I do. I really like it. And that's why I use... Where were we? Oh yeah. Investing bishops and abbots, selling church positions, authority, and power.
Yay, power!
This is depravity. The purpose of the church isn't for him to increase his own authority and power. It's for me to increase my own authority and power. What about Jesus, Your Holiness? What? I thought the purpose of the church was to spread the good message of Jesus Christ. How drunk are you? Very. All right, the results for the election of Chief
I forgot this was about a bucket and not about
Giovanni
the
Kablami,
church.
1%. Spaghetti Jeff, 2%. And the bucket, 1 trillion %. Around the year 1050, a series of reformist popes came along, and they said enough was enough. They wanted to stop the emperor from abusing the church and investing his own church officials. How are you going to stop me so long as I have control over who becomes pope? Remember the circular power division? If you try to stop me, I'll just depose you and pick someone else. Oh no, I've contracted tuberculosis. And just like that, the emperor was dead. His 6-year-old son, Henry IV, took over. And as we all know, child emperors equal opportunity. The church had an opening to take back control of the papacy. Hey man, I hope you don't mind, but we're changing the rules so that only the church cardinals can elect the pope, and you no longer have any say in the matter. You know.
I wish he would, put, as I said, I think in, can't remember what video. I think it was the War That Changed the English Language video. I would like it if Oversimplified, put a time period, like years, to kind of help set some context. That'd be cool.
If that's cool with you. I peed my pants. Okay.
Mad lad.
Talk. Then, with the position of the Pope a little more secure, he held a big meeting where he drew up a big list of all the reforms and new powers he was giving himself. And it included some pretty gnarly stuff. Okay, first, I have the power to depose emperors. Everyone cool with that? Yeah? Let's see.
Fair.
Only I can depose or reinstate bishops.
Oh,
yeah?
Okay, yeah.
Right. No one can judge me. All princes shall only kiss my feet. Only my name shall be spoken in the churches. My name is the only name in the world. Okay, I think you're done. These were all some pretty radical powers the Pope was giving himself. And with these reforms, the Pope was basically telling the Emperor, you no longer have the right to choose your own bishops and abbots. Only I can do that. When the Emperor, now a full-grown man, heard the news, he was furious. What? This is madness! Who does this guy think he is? I'm the Emperor, for goodness sake. He can't tell me what to do. I'll invest my own bishops and abbots if I want to, and this rapscallion can go right to heck! I peed my pants again! The whole conflict escalated when Henry IV went to the Pope and said, hey, guess what, sucker? You're deposed. Oh. Wait a minute. I'm the Pope.
You're deposed.
You can't depose me. You're deposed. Oh. Wait a minute. I'm the Emperor. You can't depose me. You're deposed. Oh. Wait a minute. Eventually, the German princes took advantage of the situation, and they all turned against Henry. Henry was forced to apologize to the Pope, and the whole thing ended there. Except it didn't. The whole conflict, known today as the investiture controversy, would continue on for centuries as popes and emperors engaged in a power struggle over the emperor choosing his own church officials. The overall result of this conflict is very intricate and full of complexities, but in general, the Pope was able to increase his authority. Great news, Your Holiness. Your influence is on the rise throughout civilized Europe, except for this one city in northern Italy. Really? What's going on there?
What the?
As for the emperor, he found his realm thrown into further chaos and civil war, as the local
Hey,
princes continued
as
to
does
increase
the
their own
Holy
power
Roman
and
Empire do.
independence. This was most notably the case in northern Italy. Separated from the rest of the Holy Roman Empire by the Alps, the emperor's influence and control over Italy had often been questionable. In the current chaos, these Italian city-states
Holy
began
shit.
operating almost entirely
That's a lot of
independently.
states.
Their practical independence was further solidified when Emperor Frederick Barbarossa came down in 1176 to try to reassert his control. The cities formed an alliance, and with the Pope's support, they kicked the emperor right back to Germany. Hooray, said the Italian city-states. We did it! We're the best of friends. And then they immediately began attacking each other.
Yay!
Why? Well, this whole Pope versus Emperor thing, in Italy at least, had infiltrated society to its very core. Across Italy, families and cities were torn between two
Guelph,
opposing sides.
Ghibellines,
On one side, the Guelphs, who supported the Pope's cause.
Guelphs.
On the other, the Ghibellines, who supported the Emperor. These two sides
These
struggled
words are
for control
weird.
as Guelph cities battled against Ghibelline ones. As usual, personal interest played a pretty big role, as pro-Pope Guelph cities tended to be rich mercantile ones who didn't like the Emperor's taxes. Emperor-supporting Ghibellines, on the other hand, were often agricultural, where the expanding papal states were a larger threat. These cities would sometimes even switch sides depending who was in charge and their ever-changing personal interests. In some cities, brutal fighting broke out in the streets.
Oh,
as
I love the
opposing
Plague
families
Doctor
fought
mask
for
in the
control.
background.
At times, the conflict became so tribal that the differences between the two sides were just downright silly. My love,
Explosion.
I can't bear it. We must be together. But how can we? My Ghibelline family wears feathers on the left side of their caps, and your Guelph family wears them on the right. My Ghibelline family cuts fruit straight down, and your Guelph family cuts fruit crosswise. These are arbitrary differences. We shouldn't let them tear us apart. We can be together no matter what our families think. Wonderful news. Let's make a toast to our love. I'll drink from my Ghibelline smooth goblet, and I shall drink from my Guelph chaste goblet. Get out of my sight, you dirty Pope-loving wench. Two city-states in
Whoa,
particular
that
got caught in
escalated
a
quickly.
long-standing rivalry was the Emperor supporting Modena and the Pope supporting bucket-loving Bologna. These two
Bologna,
cities had
okay.
bad blood between them, as they
Know how
had
to pronounce
already
it now.
fought against each other on a number of occasions. In 1249, the two sides took part in the Battle of Fasolta, after which the victorious Bolognese launched a live donkey into Modena to humiliate them. For decades after that, the two sides would occasionally take little day trips into each other's territory and mess things about a bit. In the fateful year of 1325, the Bolognese went on one such trip and laid waste to some farmlands. The ruler of Modena, Passerino de Bonacolsi, was
He's
having
got some
none
sick
of it.
armor.
The Bolognese had two major forts protecting their city in the southwest, so Passerino, in retaliation, decided to take an army down and lay siege to one of them. Hey, you dirty Bolognese jerks! You think you can raid our farmlands? Come out here and face me like a man! Hey man, what's up? I've just come out to let you know that there's no need to siege us because— Whoa, hey man, chill out. I'm trying to tell you— Whoa, stop doing that. I'm trying to tell you I'm actually secretly sympathetic to the Imperial cause and I want to willingly hand the fort over to you. Oh, cool. Okay. Dude, what was that for? For betraying your people. And this is for joining mine. Mwah. The Bolognese were pretty unhappy to lose one of their main defensive forts, but to make matters worse, then this happened. Hey, wait a minute.
Not the
Where's
bucket.
the bucket? Oh no, it's gone. Those Modenese must have taken it. We'll make them pay. This is unacceptable. They may take our lives. They may take our fort, but they will never take our bucket. Oh wait, here it is. I found it, guys. It's right here.
Yay!
Phew. Could you imagine if we started a war over that? That would have been really stupid, and there'd probably be a billion videos about it on YouTube one day. Thank goodness it never actually happened. That's right. The famous story you may know about the War of the Bucket, that the war started because Modena stole Bologna's bucket, doesn't actually seem to be quite right. I was surprised to find that
What?
the bucket was likely not actually stolen at the start of the war. And at this point, I want to thank and give a big shout out to fellow history YouTuber M. Laser. He's the one guy I found who actually translated a fantastic original Italian source, and then kindly allowed me to use his work in my own research. He does
Shit,
really well
I think I
researched
gotta
and
check that
in-depth
video out
videos,
from this
and
dude
definitely
now.
deserves way more subscribers, so please head on over and check him out. The real reason Bologna seems to have declared war on Modena is simply that they both hated each other, supported opposing factions, the Pope had pulled on Guelph cities to attack Passerino, and Bologna wanted its fort back. And they were gonna get it back. Bologna had a large force, much larger than what Modena could muster up, so they felt pretty confident. They sent half their force to lay siege and take back the fort, and the other half took defensive positions to prevent the
how can Modena possibly fight Bologna? This, even though their troops are certainly more experienced, they are so vastly outnumbered. What was that, 5,000 to 30,000 infantry? You can get flanked so easily. And they hold the river crossings here. They've got the fort surrounded where probably a significant number of troops are. You can't fight that.
Modenese from crossing the river. The smaller Modenese force were struggling to find a place to cross. So one night they were like, "Hey guys, look out, we're attacking way up here in the north. Better move your troops." Oh, would you look at that? That was easy. And just like that, the Modenese were across the river. The Bolognese
I guess that's one way to fight a larger force.
to come and break their siege, but instead, the Modenese went for the second fort at Zappolino. Bologna couldn't afford to lose both of its defensive forts, so the entire Bolognese force moved to take defensive positions at Zappolino. When the Modenese arrived, it was already late in the day, and there were about 2 hours of sunlight left. In most medieval battles, at this point, both sides would set up a camp, rest for the night, and prepare for battle the next day. But the outnumbered Modenese decided the only way to win was to deal a quick, decisive blow while the Bolognese were still unorganized and unprepared. And that's exactly what they did. They charged at the Bolognese line, and the two sides engaged in fierce combat. Then the sneaky Modenese pulled what must be the most predictable, yet somehow consistently surprising move in medieval warfare. They sent the cavalry around the side and hit them from behind. Bing bang bong, the Bolognese went on the run. With casualties in the thousands, Modena had won, and the Modenese cavalry chased the Bolognese cavalry all the way back to the city. After Modena's victory, they went on a tour of the Bolognese countryside, burning some stuff down along the way. When they reached the city itself, instead of laying siege, they set up a camp and basically held a massive party for 3 days. The defeated Bolognese could only sit back and watch. As the Modenese force began packing up and getting ready to leave, they noticed something. Oh my gosh. Hey, check this out. No way. Are you kidding me? They're still using traditional wells. Hey, you dumb Bolognese. Ever heard of an artesian well? You can't even get water out of the ground without using a stupid bucket. It's not a stupid bucket. It's a wonderful bucket. Yeah, whatever, bucket boy. We're taking this with us. So Modena stole Bologna's bucket and put it up on display in their cathedral, eventually moving it to the city hall, where it remains on display to this day. The two cities came to a peace settlement a few months later. Bologna would have to pay heavy war reparations, and in exchange, Modena would return all conquered territories. Modena kept the bucket. Despite being one of the bloodiest battles in medieval Italian history, it didn't really change anything, except now Modena had Bologna's bucket. As for the larger power struggle between the Pope and the Holy Roman Emperor, that would continue on for some time and played a part in many major events of medieval history, such as the Crusades, the Protestant...
Wow. That is certainly a 2019 reference there. PewDiePie versus T-Series. God damn. Crusades OverSimplified. Oh my god, I would love an oversimplified Crusades. I think he'd absolutely kill it. I think that'd be really interesting. Personally, I haven't been able to find too many. I haven't watched Epic History TV's Crusade videos yet. I do plan on watching. Those are certainly going to be high quality. But aside from Epic History TV, I don't really know too many people that have done good, educational Crusades videos. Aside from, that aren't boring documentaries,
Reformation, eventually leading to the general separation of church and state we see in Europe today. So there you have it. We learned about the Pope and the Holy Roman Emperor, the investiture controversy, and finally, the War of the Bucket. It's been a long day, and it's time to turn out the lights and go to sleep. Okay, I love you. Okay, good night.
See you back. Oh, I love Oversimplified so much. This is a good video. I like how he also made mention of some of his sources this time. That source being M Laser History. I think I'm gonna have to check out M Laser History now because of that. Especially going to a direct source, translating it, going through that effort. That's a pretty big deal. That's certainly something you have to deal with as a historian. Translating sources and whatnot, it's fucking hard, because then you also have to explain why you're, people kind of interpret things differently, right? That's the big thing with history. Pretty much every historian has kind of slight different interpretations on some things, right? So yeah, translating sources plays a part into interpretations. Obviously, that description there that I just did was oversimplified. This is a good video. I don't know what to add that I haven't already said that was covered in the video. Yeah, I would like there for Oversimplified to put timelines kind of in these videos to kind of get a understanding of the context and how much time is passing. That's just personal preference for me. I don't memorize dates. Memorizing dates is kind of pointless, really, but it's kind of understanding the time period. It just helps understand the passage of time. Like, say, the War of the Bucket lasted from 15... I'm just taking a wild guess as to the time period. I'm not actually saying the time period. I don't know. 1322 to 1325. Okay, we have a time period of 3 years. That kind of helps set the scene over, I guess, kind of the regional importance of the war. If a war lasts for multiple years, that's going to be pretty important to the economical society, and could be impactful to the cultural society of that region for a good length of time. Because war is expensive. War also means that men are fighting. And when men are fighting, that means there are less people working in the fields. Less people working on the fields can translate to less food or poorer crop yields. So, yeah. But anyways, good video. I hope you guys enjoyed. Remember to leave a suggestion. Remember to leave a suggestion down below for what you want to see me react to next. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you.